review this again, you certainly can. So thank you everybody for being here tonight. My name is Julie Hoffman. I want to welcome you all to the Rent to Own Done Right webinar. I am the Street Smart Diva and your host for tonight. I'm also one of the founders of the Okanagan Real Estate Investment Group, which you're looking at right now on your screens, here in Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. For those of you folks who are here actually joining us from the United States, we have some folks from the United States. That's so exciting. I'm gonna dive right into some other things, but before I do that, how am I sounding, Bill?
Awesome, Julie.
Oh, awesome. Okay, good. Well,
nice and crisp and clear. Thank you.
Excellent. And I even started the recording. So yeah, that's a good night for me when I remember everything. All right. So again, I'm Julie Hoffman, the Street Smart Diva. I've been investing in real estate actually since 2001. I've done hundreds of deals and millions of dollars worth of real estate investment. And one of my favorite ways to invest is through rent to own. So thank you all so much for being here. So I get to talk to you and with some other just genius people about, seriously, one of my very favorite topics. Now, we have quite a few familiar folks here tonight. I'm seeing, I heard Sue's here. I see Gary. Gary's one of the Okanagan Real Estate Investment Group members. Gary, I hope you're on here with Patrice. So we can't interact more, but it's just the technology, but it'll be okay. It'll be great. Sue Mellon, the superstar from Calgary, is here. She's one of my coaching clients. And I'm just seeing some familiar names, and I'm seeing some new names. So this is really, really exciting. I want to give, I'm just going to interview, I'm going to introduce a few people, and then we're going to dive right into things. So I want to give a special thanks and introduction to Mr. Bill Bico. He was your internet door greeter. Bill and I have known each other actually since 2003. We joined the Real Estate Investment Network at about the same time. And we kind of went our real estate investment separate ways. He's done most of his deals in Southern Alberta, while I've done most of mine in the Edmonton, Alberta, Canada area. Anyway, Bill and I reconnected about 2 years ago when I started coaching real estate online. And Bill has become an internet sensation with all of his landlording strategies. He is the educated landlord. He's done, in addition to landlording flips, he's done rent to own, long-term hold, rooming houses, and he's landlorded, get this, close to and maybe over 1,500 tenants. I think I'm accurate on that number. Anyway, he is a leading expert in real estate and especially landlording, and I'm just really lucky to call him my friend. So for those of you who are here because you're part of Bill's internet community, welcome and thank you so much. And Bill, if I could just ask you to say a few words, that would be fantastic.
I was thinking about saying sandwich, falafel, and no, kidding. So good to see everybody here. Yes, I'm the educated landlord. I think my problem, as Julie mentioned, I've done a ton of different things, so I just can't concentrate on one thing. So I like to throw up a bunch of balls in the air and get them all going. I have been focusing on landlording much more in the last several years, and have quite a presence online. And as Julie said, we reconnected, so it's been great. We've been doing a lot of fun stuff together and sharing information and helping out a lot of people, which is really great. So with that, I'm going to bounce it back to you, Julie.
Thanks so much, Bill, and thank you for your help with everything. I mean, whenever I need something, I call Bill. Like whether I have tons of technical questions for him all the time. They don't have landlording questions. They don't have this. They don't have that. He's always available. So if you don't already know Bill, make sure you connect with Bill Bico because he's fantastic. Now, I also have two absolute superstars. I've decided to give them my own name, the superstars from Saskatoon. We have Rochelle Laflamme, I think, and I'm pretty confident we've got Alyssa Thompson on because I just am seeing their names and I'm sure it's going to be fine, but I think they're on the same line together. Anyway, I noticed them on Facebook, and we became Facebook friends about 3 years ago. I noticed the Epic Alliance girls, and they've got this great kind of caricature as their brand, and it's just exploding like in such a good way. It's so much fun. And I have watched them turn their Epic Alliance gig basically into a major brand. They are two former electricians turned real estate investors / entrepreneurs with multiple successful aspects to their businesses. And we first met in person at a real estate event in Edmonton, and we've stayed connected. And I was truly honored to be able to fly out to Saskaboom. I like to call Saskatoon Saskaboom. Hope you don't mind. But they asked me to speak at their recent Epic Alliance Enrichment Weekend, which was just so much fun. It's such an honor to be there, and I'm continually impressed by these women, and truly honored to have them on the call tonight. And for those of you who are part of the Epic Alliance community, welcome and thank you so much for joining us. Now, hopefully Rochelle and Alyssa, I'm just going to unmute you, and I'm going to ask you just to say hi, and maybe if you can talk a little bit about your experience with not only rent to own, but with our headliner. That's right, Ross, I called you a headliner. How cool is that? But to talk a little bit about rent to own and how it has helped you as investors. So can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Good. You're both on the same line. You're so smart. Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you talk.
Just say, I was going to say conserving energy always.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having us on the call. This is really cool. We don't do too many of these. But
well, we don't get invited to too many.
Yeah.
I think is probably why.
Do you want to talk about our experience with Ross?
Sure, yes. Boy, where do I start? Actually, Ross has been a pivotal person in our business, actually. A lot of people don't know he is one of our coaches. We met Ross through Edna's event, if I remember correctly, down in Regina. And we were just blown away by his passion on stage when he spoke. He was such a character, and he was so passionate, and you can tell there's always something when someone gets up there and they're so passionate that the love they have for the people in the industry comes out, and he just expressed that perfectly. And so we, in the end, were like, wow, this guy, like, he's awesome, and I think we'll have to do something with him. So what ended up happening is we actually brought Ross here to do a rent-to-own course, which all the people that attended blew their minds, because he does such a good job of presenting something that can be very, very, very complicated, but is probably one of the easiest ways for somebody with no money to get into real estate. And then he spoke at our Epic Enrichment event, and again, just wowed everybody. And Rochelle and I went out to BC for some personal coaching, and it was awesome. He ripped our business down to shreds. It was great.
We're still rebuilding properly.
Yeah, but we needed it. You know, had we not gone and seen him and had him straighten us out, I mean, it would have been that much bigger of a mess that much further down the road.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Alyssa. That's fantastic. And Rochelle.
Yep.
What do you got to say?
Okay, so I'll just kind of fill you, whoever doesn't know who Epic Alliance is, and a little bit of background knowledge for us. So one of the biggest things we're doing right now is we're actually using a rent-to-own strategy where we're becoming the end purchaser. And so we're using the strategy to control over $7 million worth of real estate and rental properties. And that translates to over 50 doors. And so that's exciting.
That's quite epic.
Yep.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah, and it's been a major part of, so obviously it's been a major part of your real estate investment strategy.
Absolutely.
Huge. Game changer.
Now, before I introduce Ross, I just want to ask though, I mean, am I the first person who asked you to be on a webinar? Because I like to write this date down if that's the case.
We've been asked. It's never worked out for timing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am your first.
Yeah, you're our first.
Yeah, you're the cherry popper event right here.
Oh, Alyssa. Okay.
You're entertaining.
It is already out of hand. That is fun. You girls, I love you so much. I love you, Bill. You know I love you. You guys are all so great. And again, thank you everybody who's here, basically because of Alyssa and Bill. And now, everybody knows, or everybody's, so Alyssa, I'm gonna mute you, but
Okay.
I'm gonna turn everybody's mics back on, because sometimes there's just, it's nice to have a little bit of back and forth banter between all four of us. It makes it more interesting for everybody. So I might mute you, but I'm just going to mute you as I intro Ross, and then we'll go back and forth that way. So thank you so much. Now, again, everyone knows or has heard about rent to own. Few people know how to do a rent to own, however, and even fewer folks are out there are actually doing it correctly. So, you know, as an example, I was just with some tenant buyers recently. They were getting ready to purchase. They had really good credit. They had a 5% down payment. So that's $25,000 that they had to put down. But they were turned down to get this 0.16 decimal point percentage in their income. You see, since the new CMHC rules have been put into effect, it's been pushing good people with strong down payments and great credit out of the buyer's market. And while this is tough on a lot of folks, and I really do feel for these folks, the timing has really never been better to learn about rent to own. So again, our headliner for tonight, you know, I like to think of these things as like rock concerts, because I like to pretend, you know, Joan Jett was always kind of an idol of mine. But so our headliner for tonight is somebody who I actually met fairly recently. And one of the ways that I met him was through Alyssa and Michelle, because they were coming out here to visit. And I was like, what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, it's our coach. He's so amazing. Anyway, my husband and I started the Okanagan Real Estate Investment Group back in November. And Ross came out to support us along with his wonderful wife, Barb. And since then, Ross has been absolutely instrumental in the rapid growth of our real estate investment group. We actually practically double in size every meeting, and he has really a lot to do with that. It's been such a great experience working with him. And again, getting to know his wife, Barb, and his team, and, you know, even his kids. And best of all, they live right here in the Okanagan, and that's where I live. So we are just especially so lucky to have him nearby. So Ross Lightle is the owner of Farmer Logic Business Training. He's been investing in real estate since 1977. 1977, that's a long time. He's been doing rent to own, and all of this is in Canada, by the way, rent to own since 1983. He's coached literally thousands of successful real estate investors on how to do many, many successful strategies in real estate, but specifically how to do rent to own and how to do rent to own the right way. So with that, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you your rent to own done right trainer for tonight, Mr. Ross Lightle. Ross, are you there?
Sure am, Julie.
Awesome, fantastic. So take it away, boss.
Oh, hey, Ross the boss.
Ross the boss. I got nicknames for everybody.
No, that's what Barb tells me. I am. She reminds me she's the neck and she turns the head.
There you go.
All right. Man, how do I follow up there? I think I just quit while I'm ahead after all those introductions and nice words from Alicia and Rochelle, and what a treat it is to work with those girls. Oh my goodness, you know, in coaching, and I've done coaching for, you know, literally years, 20 years now, and it's so nice when you coach somebody and they actually go out and do what you know, what they say they're going to do, and it's so nice to see the results, because when people do what, you know, I remember when they came out to the studio, the Farmer Logic studio out here in the North Shoe Swap area. We had my business partner Neil here, and we strategized with them and on their business, and they're right. We tore their business apart, and we said, you know, you got to do this, this, and this, because really, the whole business of real estate is always, always, always about control, and the wealthy never own anything, and that's really something to keep in mind, and that's why rent to own fits in so well. Is that when we teach you how to do rent to own, we actually don't even teach you how to own any real estate. And you know, when you set yourself up correctly, you know, and let's put it this way, Rochelle and Alyssa they're just blowing it apart. And you know, they're growing so rapidly. If they don't have a good structure, a good corporate structure to grow in, it can easily fall apart, because the two biggest enemies or the two biggest threats you have as a business person is, taxes and a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
And, either can take you down, especially a lawsuit. One bad lawsuit, if you're not structured right, can just wipe you out. So we spend a lot of time making sure people are structured right, not only for their risk management, also for their tax management as well. So it's nice to work with people like that. And Julie and Jeff and Jason, what a treat it is to work with you guys, and just so excited about that. I spent 50 years of my life out in the Calgary area, and Bill would know where my stomping grounds are, somewhere between Okotoks and Black Diamond, south of Big Rock. Bill, if you know where that is. And
Know that.
well, that's where my old stomping ground is. And then the last 10 years of my life out in this beautiful part of the world, I mean, we really chose this as the place that we're going to retire to. And we made a conscious decision to come out to this area. And thank goodness we did, because it's just been such a blessing to live in this part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight we're going to talk about, something that I've become quite well known for, even though it might not be our primary strategy, but it's certainly something that we've done a lot of this rent to own, and got very good at it. And we work right across Canada in every province, and we've got people that work with us in every province. And well, we're not out in Eastern Canada on the Newfoundland and Halifax, Nova Scotia. We're not out there yet, but we're making plans to get out there real soon. So once we get out there, we can go coast to coast. And the nice thing about rent to own is it doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter what the economy is, whether it's up or it's down. So it's Vancouver, Toronto, Calgary, Edmonton, up, down, doesn't really matter. It just flat out works. Do you have to change the strategy up a little bit? Absolutely. And that's one of the things we're going to teach you April 7th and 9th is how to work in any market, any place, and literally do this with no money. And one of the things that we always get asked, when we start working with people is, well, I don't have any money. Is there something we can do without money? Well, absolutely. And we're going to show you how to do that. So moving right along here. And by the way, Julie, anytime you want to interject and you got something to say, or anybody, just please stop me. It's going to be pretty hard to throw me off track. I've been doing this a long time, so
I'll just let the other host know if you don't mind. Alyssa and Bill, you know this already, but I don't know if you know this, Alyssa. You can unmute yourself. And I was on a webinar with Ross last week, and he just let me jump in, and he gets right back on track. So if you have anything to say, you can unmute yourselves, or you can, or I'll just kind of, I'll first of all, Alyssa, I'm just going to check if they can, because it just helps with the interaction. Alyssa, can you unmute yourself?
Yep.
Okay, so you know how to do that? Great. I'll put.
Yep, we're good.
Great. All right. And Bill, I know he knows how, because he's a pro. We're all pros, but here we go. All right, back to you, Ross. Go.
All right. So this is a picture of me, and when I was looking at in the mirror, I was thinking, man, I got to start working out, and I was getting too old too fast, and I thought, man, I got to start doing something about this. So for the last several months, and Julie will let you know, I've been working out, and this is a picture of me currently, and I do my best to keep in shape, and gotta do that if you're going to travel the country. So, but I'm not a lawyer, not an accountant. I'm a husband, a dad, and certainly God's servant. I'm an active businessman. I'm a real estate investor who has had a lot of successes, but I think most importantly, a lot of failures. Why do I say that? Well, you'll never grow in the good times. You grow in the bad times. The bad times will test you. The bad times will make you better. And so I think whenever you're picking a coach, whenever you're picking, you're going to go and be trained by somebody, I think it's actually more importantly how many failures they've had and have gone through those failures and come out on the other side. Not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get knocked down and get back up and learn from it. So I have gone through the mill. I've screwed it up more ways than probably anybody on this call. And Therefore, I've figured out how to do it right way. So we call it rent to own done right. And my life is full of failures, but you know, that's part of being an entrepreneur. Okay, so known as Canada's coach and trainer for business and real estate, been training all over Canada and for our friends in the United States, been coaching and training down in the US as well. I used to work for quite a large company, actually ran quite a large seminar company that you probably all know of in Canada. I ran that for a lot of years and worked for it for a lot of years as well. So certainly familiar with working in the US and how the US works and what you can do. There's not every, you know, for example, rent to own in Texas. Can it be done? Absolutely. Do you have to change your strategies? Absolutely. So there's different ways of working in the US and we know how to make that happen as well. We are here to help people and organizations develop clarity. That's one of the main things when people come and we coach them with them, how to get clarity of their vision. What should they focus on? And the high leverage activities that move the results needles. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a results contest, all right? If you don't get the results, you're not winning, okay? So luckily for me, and maybe for other people, but especially for this farmer, real estate's actually a pretty simple game. You know, we all want to build residual income. There's only one way of doing that, and that, of course, is through our buy, rent, and hold properties. Nothing else in real estate builds residual income except for your buy, rent, and hold. And I'm excluding land development from this little discussion here because that's an animal unto its own. There's also we can generate earned income, and we do that one of three ways. We can do that through our buy, fix, and sell. It's what a lot of the shows on TV are about. You know, we'll buy it, we'll flip it, that sort of thing. Really question sometimes how they actually make that work on TV. It's not as simple as they make it seem, all right? And then there's the wholesale. I mean, we used to call them double closes and that sort of thing. And for although a double close is not illegal, never has been, contrary to what some realtors might tell you, it is become more difficult to do that because of lending practice, lending rules, and you know, you got to hold the property for 3 months and that sort of thing. But wholesale, for the most part, is the signing of the contract, and you don't need a license or anything else to do that. And then finally, options, which is known as rent to own. We just had a situation today where we have our own mortgage brokers that work with us, and of course they know how to get our deals closed. And we had a rent to own client that decided that she should get her own mortgage broker involved, and we actually advised her not to do that. And sure enough, that mortgage broker that didn't know how these rent owns work was not able to do it. And you know, it's just the way they present it to the underwriter. And you know, she cost herself a lot of time and a lot of money, and she's going to have to end up going with our mortgage broker in the end. So it has to be done right. It has to be something that, you know, is followed through correctly from the beginning to the end. And in the April 7th and 9th course, we actually are going to give you the system, the complete system, where it's a step-by-step system. When I'm coaching, people always want to know, hey Ross, what's the next step? What's the next step? So in the course where we actually go through it in detail, and by the time you leave on Sunday, oh my goodness, you're going to know how to do rent owns, guaranteed. We're not going to leave any stone uncovered. You're going to know how to do it. All right. So what is this thing called an option? Because in a rent to own, we actually have two primary contracts. There's actually a lot more, but there's two primary contracts. One is a lease and one is an option. And of the two, the option is the important one because the lease is a standard lease. Matter of fact, in any province, you can't override the Residential Tenancies Act, so it doesn't really matter what you put in your lease. If it doesn't agree with the act wins. So, and Bill would know that from all his landlording experience. You can write whatever you want in the lease, and yeah, it's good to have a lease, but if it doesn't agree with the act, of course, wins. So the most important is an option. So what is this thing, an option? The rent to own consists of two primary contracts, a lease and then an option to buy, and they're separate and they're done in separate entities, as we'll discuss in a minute. So an option gives the owner, also known as the optionor, where he gives or he extends or he keeps open an offer for the sale of real estate to the buyer or the optionee at some time in the future. And this is usually for a predetermined amount of time, and it's for typically at a fixed price. There is people out there that I've seen do rent-to-owns, and what they will do is they'll say to the person who's going to be buying the property at the end of the term, well, you know what we'll do? We'll just take the average of 3 homes like this in the area, and that'll be your price. And that is absolutely a terrible, terrible way of doing this business. And we'll explain why in the training then, but that just would not work, and it doesn't work actually in most cases. All right. And so in short, the option says this: maybe I'll buy it and maybe I won't. I'll make up my mind later. And how powerful is that? For those of you that are in real estate, you know that is some kind of powerful when you can make up your mind later what you're going to do with, I mean, how many contracts do you get to do that with? Okay. And options are used in everything from the stock market to, anything at all. It doesn't have to be real estate. They're for any property or goods or services, you can use an option. And by the way, once you know how to use an option, I mean, once you really understand how to use an option, I can assure you'll be finding creative ways to do them everywhere because they are that powerful. I would say this: not having an option in your real estate toolbox is kind of like a carpenter and he doesn't even have a hammer. I just feel it is that important. When you really understand that, rent to own or any part of real estate is all about control and never own anything, I want you guys to start to think like this. Owning title is a bad thing. Having title in your personal name is a big ultimate no-no. Like shouldn't be done. Okay. Now, the option contract must be in writing. It must be signed by all the parties. There has to be some sort of consideration for it to be enforceable. It could be as little as $1. That would mean, that would be kind of silly. So we usually use $100. If you're the tenant, it could be $10,000, $20,000. It could be, even less. But generally, we don't take too much less than 10 grand these days. And it has to state its time period, or there has to be a way of figuring out that time period. If you don't have these 3 things, then actually probably your contract's going to be null and void. Okay, we use conditions in our options. We don't just have an option that doesn't have any conditions in it. Conditional, things, and in the class, in the rent-to-own class, we're going to go over the different conditions that you can use. And as we mentioned earlier, it really has to state what the purchase price is. Okay, so you can have an option that doesn't have any conditions, or you could have conditional options. Of course, we use the options that have conditions on them. We can use an option to buy. That'd be a good thing. We can have an option to renew lease. That's really typical in your malls where you have a CRU, a commercial retail unit. You wouldn't just take a CRU without having, say, 5 years plus, an option to renew for 5 years. That would be really, really typical. You could have the sale, leaseback, buyback option. I didn't know what else to call it because essentially it works like this. In most cases, somebody has a business. They own the land. The land's not making them any money. It's the business on top of the land that actually makes them money. But they need to renovate. They need to upgrade their equipment. They need to do something. So they're sitting on land that's got some value. So they actually sell that land to another investor who has a really good tenant sitting on top of the land, a very motivated tenant that's motivated to pay him every month, or he's probably going to be facing eviction. And so he uses the money that he got from the investor to upgrade his, warehouse or his factory or whatever it may be. And then at some point, I'm sure that property owner would like to have the option to buy back that land at some point in the future. All right. So that's what that is. Now, a rolling option. This is so common in land development. It is actually probably when we're doing land development, this is what we use. I mean, it's just, you don't have to put out a lot of money. It's the way a lot of big land developers do their land development, is using a rolling option. So we'll explain more of that again in the class. Lease option is what we're going to talk about tonight. It's simply a lease with an option to buy. They're two separate contracts and two separate entities. Go into more detail in a minute. And then there's the fixer-upper. Again, I don't know what else to call it. It's just could be used for you when you're purchasing a home from somebody. You could use your sweat equity. You could as your down payment, and with the option to buy it in the future, or you could do the same thing with your tenant buyer who has, maybe he's a qualified tradesperson and he can go in there and use his sweat equity. Now, I will, word of caution, anytime you're using sweat equity as a down payment, it has to be documented. You have to get other quotes. There's a whole series of things that you have to do, and we'll go into detail on that as well. But it certainly is, sweat equity still can be used as a down payment once it's documented correctly. And this is a way that you get into, into a property with no money down as well. All right, moving right along. They used to be simple. I mean, when we started, it was a handshake. I mean, we didn't even have any paperwork, Bill. There was no paperwork at all. We just, hey, you want to, we worked out like this. One of my buddies came to me and said, hey, Ross, you're in real estate? I go, yeah. He says, I need a place to rent. I said, what do you mean you need a place to rent? You already own. He said, well, actually, me and my wife are going through the big D. That's not Dallas. And I don't want to buy anything because, hey, she might take that too. She got the gold mine, he got the shaft. And, he didn't want to lose the other house. So I said to him, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Why don't you just rent it? And then when you go to buy it, I'll give you all your rent back towards your down payment. He will, that sounds like a great idea. He told a bunch of friends and I started doing this. I mean, how silly can that be? Because then one day my lawyer asked me, what are you doing, Ross? And I told him, he said, do you have any paperwork? I said, no, it's just friends. He says, what if you die? I went, hey, I'm a young punk, man. I ain't dying. He says, what if you did? Well, how do these people know what kind of deal you got? We'll probably have to put it in paper. So he came up with a one-page deal. I was like, oh crap, I'm really sophisticated now. I got a one-page deal. Yeah, I'm a sophisticated farmer now. I know what I'm doing. But that turned into, in not too many years, turned into 3 pages. And then, when the government gets involved, and the lenders like to get a little more sophisticated, it forces us in to get a little more sophisticated. So then we started having to use corporations and leases that were, our standard lease today is Bill, you're going to freak out. Our standard lease today is 106 page and it's bound. And our option contract is 29 pages. I can assure you, when we sit down with any of our tenants, and that's whether they're an apartment or they're a rent-owned tenant, doesn't really matter. When we sit down with a 106-page lease, we get their attention. Yeah, we do. And then the 29-page option contract, we got their attention even more. And here's the nice part. You might think, oh, they're going to freak out, man. They freak out. No, they do freak out for about a minute. And once we get into it, and when we're done, they say, wow, we've never had a landlord treat us like this ever. This is the best we've ever been treated. So we went from one corporation to, now Julie hates it when I show this picture. So we won't dwell on this picture, Julie. We'll kind of show it and then we'll move on, okay?
I'll look away quick. I'll look away.
Okay, but I'm going to show you this. I just want you to warn you, it's not as complicated as it seems. And normally in a PowerPoint presentation, you don't normally put something like this up there. But I will say this, I'm going to put it up there for a purpose. And here's the purpose. The purpose is, if you don't do it this way, you can't protect you. You can't protect your investor if you're using an investor. If you're not using an investor, you can't protect the homeowner. And you certainly can't protect the tenant. So what I'm about to show you does all 3, and it also makes it so that you can actually do this legally, because some of you may or may not know, if you do the lease and the option in the same corporation or the same person, the option is null and void. And if the owner or the tenant wanted to get out of the option, they could. How do I know this, Julie?
I think you might have learned the hard way. And I tell you what, you showed me this complicated stuff, and it did. It scared the crap out of me because I was like, wait, that's just too complicated. But actually, you guys will see, it makes sense. It just makes sense. So, yeah.
And you know, Julie, I'm going to have this picture when we do the training. This picture will be up the full time in the class. We got a big poster blowing up. We put it up on the wall, and we refer to this the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time everybody leaves, they go, I get it. This makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we went from one corporation to now that we need at least 3 and we need 11 contracts.
Sorry.
I'm not going to teach this tonight, but this is the foundation of everything that we're going to teach on April 7th and 9th. And when people leave, they will know with certainty what each one of these does and why we do it this way, because it is absolutely essential if you want to protect the investors, the owners, the tenants, and yourself. And if you want this deal to close in 3 years time, or 2 years, or 1 year, whatever option length you're doing, we actually, Julie, the number one reason that our deals don't close is there's a divorce or separation.
Mm-hmm.
We do not close because of an overlook of a technicality or something went wrong. No.
Mm-hmm.
No, we close the majority of our deals. All right. So moving along. So here's the big picture. Here's you guys in the middle. You've got these 2 corporations. Remember I said you had to have 2 corporations or 2 entities in order to do this right. You've got a management, an active company. You've got an option company that just one job is to get an option, hold the option. So then there's the tenant over here. And you may give the tenant a lease, and then your option company will give them the option. And this little diagram here would be known in the industry as a lease option. However, what we're going to be teaching you is whether you have an investor, whether you have an owner, or what you will be doing is known as a sandwich lease option. So that's going to be the original owner, or it's going to be a corporation and with your investor in it. And everything, when you do this business right, everything is what's known as a sandwich lease. In other words, the owner of the corporation gives a lease to the management company. The management company subleases it to the tenant buyer. Then the owner of the corporation gives an option to the option company, and the option company gives an option to the tenant buyer. And this is the simplified version of that monster I just finished showing everybody. But essentially, this is what we're accomplishing, but we have all those other things in place to protect everybody and make sure the deal closes at the end. Okay.
Yeah, and just to kind of put anybody else's mind at ease, I'm not, that picture doesn't really intimidate me anywhere, mostly because Ross sat down with myself and my husband and our other partner. He walked us through it like over a lunch, like on a napkin. And we were all, by the end of it, kind of nodding our heads and saying that makes a lot of sense. And I think the biggest thing that got my attention is just like they just changed all the CMHC rules, the lending rules. Well, when you have a rule like a law that can have such a massive impact on your whole business, you've really got to, you just got to follow to the letter. Otherwise, it can tear everything apart. So that's probably the biggest thing that got my attention, was that Law of Property Act that you told me about. Oh,
absolutely, Julie, because most people don't even know the Law of Property Act. I believe it's number 31 even exists, and it actually says, hey, if you want to do the option and the lease in the same company, the option is null and void. So here you go. We've got 2 separate corporations. That's one thing. CMHC also has rules in some provinces like Manitoba and Ontario that you can't make a profit on a sublease. So we work right across Canada, and we have ways of making the system work right across the country. So it really doesn't matter where you want to do business. If you know Ross, you can work in any province because we have connections. All right. So this is a quick review of how this whole works. I'm not going to get too much into it because I think bottom line, Julie, is this, is, you know, people have to know that this is not an experiment. We're not actually going to conduct an experiment to see if rent-to-own works. No, we've been making it work for a lot of years now, and we're going to continue to make it work, and we're on the cutting edge. Matter of fact, we're on such a cutting edge that we actually have some pretty high-level bankers coming to us now and wanting to work with us. And the things that are coming down the pipe will put, you know, what we do in rent-to-owns so far ahead of anybody else that's doing them. I mean, they want to, just to give you an idea, they want to insure us and bond us. I mean, imagine that. Because they know that our systems are so sound and that what we do is actually, you know, not one of those, what do you call, scam artists out there, you know, where they're just trying to rip people off. And so they want to insure us, and then that would set us apart from anybody else that's doing this business. When you've got banks and people that want to get behind you, and this makes a world of difference, Julie.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to set up the corporate structure. We actually started out talking about that with Alyssa and Rochelle, saying if you're not set up corporately right, I mean, don't bother starting. Then we're going to show you how to build a tenant buyer database. I mean, you got to have tenants coming in. If you don't have tenants, you don't have a business. Then we're going to show you how to find the properties. Now, the nice thing here is, Julie, we're going to show people how, I mean, here's the deal. I get so plumb excited about this. Owners just throw properties at us daily. And it's so hard for people to believe, but I mean, last time we did an OREIG meeting, we had somebody throwing properties at us, right?
Yeah, it was a guy from Calgary. He said, I just moved to Kelowna and I got this house still in Calgary. I don't know what to do with it. I just need somebody to take it off my hands. And Ross and I don't know if we're going to fight over it or not, but I bet you'll win. But yeah, like, no, we're not going to fight over it. But yeah, I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we have people giving us properties daily. And people say, no way, they give you the property. Yes. And the reason they give us the property is because we are going to show you how to make the math work for you. And so the people make more money working with us than they do renting it out on their own, whether they're going to sell it on their own right now. I mean, it just makes more sense to work with us. So they just simply hand the property over to us. I mean, it's just insane, but we've been doing that for a lot of years. I hardly ever buy a property. I mean, why would I when they get them given to us, right? Now, then we're going to meet the tenant, the property, and we're going to pick the most qualified one that is typically the one that's got the most money. You got the more money you got up front, the better I like you. But they got to qualify for the property at the end. If they got the money, but they're not going to qualify, they're just not going to go in. We're not that type of company. Then we're going to meet the tenant buyer the day before and do the move-in, move-out inspection. And that is simply, you know, that is the law. They are a tenant in every sense of the word. And that's why the rent-to-own business fits so well in with the landlording business, the property management business, because it just fits like a glove. Because these people are essentially tenants. Now they're high-quality tenants, granted, yes. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to sign the 106-page new home manual and the 29-page option manual. Yes, we're going to do that, and they're going to love us and hug us and thank us, and just what a great experience that is. And then we're going to do 4 inspections a year. We do, we do 4 inspections. We do the spring tune-up inspection this past week in March, and then we do the first of 2 safety inspections. The first week of June, we do our first safety inspection, and they sign off on saying there's no unsafe conditions. Then we do a full inspection the first week of September, and then we do our second safety inspection when they start running extension cords and for Christmas lights and putting up Christmas trees and all those unsafe things there. So we do our second safety inspection in December, and they sign off saying there's no unsafe conditions because what's the number one risk you have? Yes, a lawsuit. So, you know, pretty hard to go to the court and say, hey, there was an unsafe condition. No, there wasn't. You signed off twice a year that there wasn't. So, and number 8, we're going to send the tenant buyer an exercise option notice 120 days out. Why do we do that? Because we don't want any surprises at the end of the day. And we want, if they're not going to buy, we're going to give them their proper notice. And if they are going to buy, we want to make sure we got lots of time to get them mortgage ready. And then number 9, we're going to complete the purchase and sale paperwork. And number 10, my favorite part, we're going to go celebrate because we just made $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 with no money. No money required, just a little knowledge.
Mm-hmm. That's the best. It's one of the best parts.
Yeah. Okay. So I always get that question. Well, yeah, it's not good, Ross. What's the catch, man? What's the catch? Well, there is a catch. I hate to reveal what the catch is, though, because it really kicks a lot of people out. They, man, you mean I gotta do something? Oh man, I thought you were just gonna give me the money. I actually gotta do something? Oh crap, I don't even want to do it anymore. Yeah, you gotta do it. And then they always say, well, how much time is that gonna take? Well, you know, that depends. Anywhere from 20 to 40 hours, typical deal. Yeah. And then they say, well, how much money you need? None. And then they say, well, do I need any credit? Because, you know, I'm broke yesterday. I just declared bankruptcy yesterday. Just went through a foreclosure yesterday. Well, good for you. You don't need any credit either. You don't need any credit. All right. And then, well, how do I do this really fast then? I want to get started like real fast. Like I'm broke, man. I gotta have some money coming in. Well, then I suggest you learn from somebody that's got decades of experience of real in the world trenches. Did I mention I failed and screwed it up a lot?
Yeah.
And then, you know what else, Julie? We got people working with us right across the country, and they're screwing it up too. And they come to us every day and say, hey, Ross, found out about this. My lawyer said that. So guess what? We got our whole team over here always finding new ways to make sure everything's right. And we update contracts, you know, or send them to our lawyers for updating on a regular basis. And we're always fine tuning and tweaking and, you know, figuring things out. So. Yeah, but there it is. So now, what kind of owners do you want to work with? Well, people that can't sell their home in a slow market. Alberta come to mind, anybody? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Alberta's pretty hot right now for us. And then there's people who are relocating. Yeah, they're getting the heck out of Alberta. They're moving to Kelowna.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's like, okay already.
Yeah, or else Shell Oil is selling out and moving back to the States. I don't blame them. I mean, let's not get political, but oh my goodness. You know? So people are relocating, or people that live a long way from their property. Yeah, they own in, Toronto, but they live in Vancouver. Or people who are losing money. That's by the way, our number one reason that people work with us is they are losing money every month renting it out. People that work with us usually have owned this property for 7 to 11 years before they actually figured out they were actually losing money. And we're going to show you why in the training on the April 7th and 9th, and how to identify and work with people and help them so that they turn that from a negative cash flow situation into a positive cash flow situation. And we're going to take real deals that people bring in, Julie, and we're going to work with real deals. None of this pre-canned stuff. We're going to take deals right out of the air and right out of people that have the properties right now and make really good sense of that.
What did you call it? Pre-tan, fake tan?
Yeah.
Like spray on tan?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be the real stuff, the real deal.
It's going to be real stuff, not this fake stuff.
Okay.
We're not going to do that spray on rental, and we're going to do the real stuff. And then this one happens to people, especially in places that are taking a significant drop, like Fort Mac. We got people in Fort Mac that are upside down right now. They got more mortgage than they got house. Realtors won't even touch them. We can work with them though. Then we got people that are facing foreclosure. That's happening to us a lot. A lot of people facing foreclosure right now. We can help them out of that, turn that around for them. People that have massive interest differential penalties or early payout penalties. We had a guy in Toronto. He had 20 homes that were between $30,000 and $35,000 each on the payout penalty. I mean, give me a break. These lenders, they got to make some money. They're not doing well these days.
Yeah, they're struggling apparently. So they need
Yeah.
to, yeah. And I'm sorry to interrupt, Ross. I just want to let everybody know that jumped on a little bit late because we've had about 5 people join us since you started, just so you know. We are recording this, and I will be sending out the recording in case you think you missed anything. Okay, so nobody worry. And go ahead, Ross.
Okay. And then we help people who are just sick and tired of managing, and that is our number 2 reason that people work with us. Yeah, they're just sick and tired because they haven't worked with Bill and figured out how to really do this property management. And then people are going through divorce. That's a big one for us. Yeah, nobody wants to pay the bills. And then people are going to bankruptcy. That's big for us too. So these are all the people that we work with for owners. These are all people that really like us and can't wait to work with us. And then here's a little thank you letter to my wife Barb and my son Jeff from a happy owner. And it says, "Thank you so much for your help on my West Side Road property." That's out in Kelowna area. "I thought I was never going to sell that place. It was on the market for 3 years with 2 different realtors. You did in a couple months what my realtors couldn't do in 3 years. I worked with you. I made more money than I would with a realtor. I didn't have to pay that big penalty. And for this, I'm so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you." Those are nice letters to get, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we help the tenant? Well, the tenant doesn't have enough down payment. You know, that happens all the time. So we fix that for them. Then their tenant whose their credit's just a little bit bruised right now, they can't qualify, especially on the new stricter, stringent rules that lenders have. And then people going through divorce. People that just went through bankruptcy. People who are facing foreclosure or gone through foreclosure, as long as it's not 2. There's 2 foreclosures, pretty hard to help them. And then first time, there is ways of helping them, but it's trickier. First time homeowners, those people are sometimes, when we started, the average home was 1 to 2 times the average wage. And today, the average home is 8 to 10 times the average wage. No wonder it's hard for people to get into. Or people that are self-employed, the lenders often look at these people like they just arrived from Mars. New to Canada, that could be an issue. A lot of new people coming to Canada these days. They climbed the walls in Mexico, and they're heading north. North. No, new mortgage stress test, making it harder to qualify. And here's a happy couple in seminar, and we just did this. And this is pretty cool. It's I normally wouldn't put something like this up on the PowerPoint, Julie, but when I just didn't want to take anything out of it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
It was just such a nice letter. And hey, we were really not happy where we were renting. I didn't have good credit. Robbie didn't have any. We had no savings, no down payment. But I still dreamed of owning our own home. And every day I would search for my dream home. One day I came across an advertisement for rent to own. I called it and spoke to Barb. I was excited to hope this might work out, but at first I wasn't sure. I talked to Robbie, and he wasn't excited, but he agreed to have a look and talk with Barb. And when he walked through the door, I could tell by looking at his face, he just loved the house. It was exactly what we dreamed of. And after talking to Barb and having go over and explain everything to us, we decided that we'd commit, and it was the best decision we ever made. I don't know how we did it, but we came up with the option deposit and the damage deposit and the first month's rent all at once. We changed our spending habits and to be able to save the money required to close. We don't really go out much anymore, but it's nice to stay home. If it wasn't for Barb's help and guidance, we would not be in the position we are today. We're so grateful for all her advice. This decision has changed our life. Now, isn't that a nice letter to get?
It's awesome. And I want to point out, we're having this great event again, April 7th, 8th, and 9th. Come out to meet Barb. I noticed Barb a few times in this testimonial, and she's amazing, Ross's wife. I like to call her the magic behind the magic. She is just a phenomenal woman.
Do you remember what the little plaque that she has on her desk in her office, Julie?
Oh, I had a whole day of coaching with Ross, and I think my brain was overflowing, kind of out my ears type of a thing. I don't remember.
Well, it said, her little plaque says, master of the tenant buyer universe.
Ah, nice. Yes, and that's right. That's right.
She's so good at working with tenants.
Yeah.
All right, so how do you help yourself? What do you need? Well, you need a commitment to invest in yourself. Best decision you'll ever make is an investment in yourself. You know, it's I actually teach on that. There's 4 of the top investments. Number 1 is yourself. Number 2 is your business.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is getting out of bad and ugly debt, which I'll go into more in the April 7th, 8th, and 9th course. And number 4 investment is getting into good debt. And the nice thing about rent to own is you don't need any debt. So that's even better. Okay, what you don't need any money, you don't need any down payment, you don't need any credit, and you don't need negative people in your life. All right? But what can you expect? You can get a truly no money down deal. It's the only thing I really know in real estate that really truly no money down. And then you get massive returns, you get your financial freedom. I don't know what financial freedom means to you, but you know, you get a sense of well-being by just helping other people. And that's pretty cool when you get those kind of letters from owners and from tenant buyers and people who get in their home, because there's, you know, we've got a family right now that's moving out of one of our rentals, and they need a bigger place, and you know, they've got another baby on the way, and it'd be nice if we could help them. I don't know if we can, I don't think we can, but it'd be nice if we could. All right, you just get a sense of well-being. All right, so what I wanted to show is a typical Kelowna deal, because that's where I live, but this could be typical anywhere. And by the way, the numbers don't really matter. I mean, the price changes a little bit, but the numbers stay about the same. So it really doesn't matter. But what we're going to look at is a 3-bedroom home with a fair market value of $450,000. Now, of course, in Saskatoon, that might be a little bit less. And, you know, in other places like Vancouver, Toronto, will be a lot more. It doesn't really matter. The price is irrelevant. We're going to say a 3% appreciation factor. We're going to say that the future purchase price for the tenant in the future, 3 years from now, will be $490,000. He's going to put 10 grand down. He's going to pay $2,100 in rent and option combined, or sorry, rent and the option will be $500, so $2,600 total. You might say that's a lot. Well, actually, no, it's right about what he would pay. The $2,600 is right about what he would pay in principal and interest, taxes, and insurance for a $490,000 house. So really, if they can't afford $2,600, they can't afford a $490,000 house. All right, taxes about $3 grand, insurance about $2. And anybody out there want to see how you make 10 grand a month doing 2 deals a year? Not a month, a year.
I know everybody does. They got it.
Okay, here we go. So using that information, in the first month in March, right now, you're going to go do a deal. You're going to get 10 grand. You're going to put $100 down, so you get $9,900, and you're going to get that $500 a month profit on the option. So in March, you made $10,400, and it took you, you know, I don't know, 20 hours, 40 hours, who cares? Made $10,400, and that kind of pretty much wiped you out. I mean, you're like, oh, I can't keep up this pace. So we understand that. So what we did is we said, okay, well, why don't you take April, May, June off, because hey, you deserve it. I mean, you put in all that time, made that 10 grand, so you got that $500 a month still coming in for those 3 months. And then, you know, nobody does anything in July and August. I mean, it's summertime. Hey, why would you want to do anything? And besides, you're still reeling from that 20 to 40 hours you did in March. You got to take a couple more months off. But September rolls around, and you go, you know what? I'm on an awesome pace here. I might as well keep this thing rolling. So in September, you get a little bit of initiative, and you decide to do one more deal, just like the first one. And now you got another $9,900 plus $500 coming in, and those $500 for another 3 months. So you got $11,900. Well, nobody does it now. You know, you're wiped out again, and nobody does thing in October. I mean, it's Halloween, and November, it's Remembrance Day. You might as well take that off. And December, as everybody knows, is a complete write-off. So, you know, you just got 2 deals coming in at $500 a month, so that's another $3,000. So really, in 2017, you made a whopping $2,233 a month, or an extra $27,000 for doing 20 to 40 hours once every 6 months. Now, I don't know about you, but that's pretty, that's a heck of a pace. I don't know if you can keep that up for very long, but let's just assume that you could keep that up for a little bit more, and you do the same thing all over again in 2018. I don't know if you can keep that pace up. 2 deals a year, Julie, that's an awesome pace, man. I think the only people that really could probably keep that pace up, maybe Alyssa and Rochelle. I mean, I know those girls could do this, but I mean, for most people, the 2 deals a year, once they're one every 6 months, that just pretty much wipe them out, don't you think?
Well, that's brutal, but definitely Alyssa and Rochelle. I wouldn't put it past them.
Oh, they do 2 a month, those girls.
2 a week. 2 a week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. Well, that's about $3,000 a month that year. So, I mean, hey, it's getting up there. By the way, a lot of people could just quit their job. Say, hey, if I'm going to make $39,000 working 20 to 40 hours once every 6 months, I think I'll do that. Or year 3, you do, you keep the same awesome pace up. I mean, you're just sweating, man. You're just going for it now. And you kind of got in a roll. You're a bit of a groove here. You got a thing going on. Now you're making $4,000 a month. Woo! I am excited. Well, you know what? Here's the deal, guys. The next 3 years is going to go by whether you do this or not. It doesn't really matter if you don't decide not to do that awesome pace of 2 deals a year. Well, the next 3 years will go by anyway. But if you decided to really bite the bullet, you decided to join us April 7th, 9th, and really know how to do this and do it right, rent owned done right, then of course by year 4, the money starts coming home, honey. And now you're making $61,900 in March, and you got another $9,000 coming in for April, May, and June. Now you can take July and August off and go boating out in the shoe swap with Ross, and a little bit of golfing as well, because you got another $61,900 to pay for all the bills in September. Might as well take October, November, December off, because actually you got enough money to pay for the Christmas gifts now, because this year you actually made $142,000, or about $12,000 a month, doing 2 deals a year. Now, what if you just doubled that and did 4 deals a year? Most people can get by on about $4,000 a month. I mean, here's the deal. Would this change your life? Would the investment in yourself be worth it for you, for your family? And here's the tough realization. I really want you to think about this for a minute. The next 3 years are going to pass by whether you do this or not. I don't want you to be part of the woulda, shoulda, coulda club, because woulda, shoulda, coulda doesn't pay the bills. Doing it pays the bills, and man, this isn't that. I mean, even if you got a full-time job, Julie, I think you can find a way to do 2 deals a year, man. Right?
Yeah.
This is one of your deals, Julie.
Yeah, this is one of my deals. So much fun. It was awesome. This young lady, Nadine, had been decided she wanted to buy a house, and she opened about 20 or 30 doors only to find this one. And she loved it, put an offer on it, and was not able to get financing. And just obviously naturally devastated. So we actually worked with an investor to buy this house for her. And I didn't, I worked with the investor, I put it all together. So it was no money down for me, no bank qualified for me. But the best part was getting this house for her and have her be so happy. She's a single mom. Her son goes to school literally like across the street, just to the left of this picture. And it's a great deal. She goes $25,000 down, and it cash flows over $400 per month. So it's a great win-win for everybody. Plus, it's worth more now. Actually, she's getting ready to get her bought out this fall, and it's worth a lot more than what she has to pay for it. Just because we set the price day one. That's a market thing, not predictable, but it's definitely like a huge win for everybody. So it's fantastic.
We actually train how people how to set the price, because it is actually the best way to do it. And imagine buying this house at below market value. That'd be cool, man.
It is so cool when you can help somebody walk into money. It is so cool.
And then there was this one.
This one was, so Ross, you were talking about so people just want to get rid of their places. Well, this house was from a guy who had taken a rent-to-own, basically taken a rent-to-own seminar. He'd actually taken a Ron LeGrand seminar, which is one of the ways actually Bill and I met way back when. But here's the thing, this investor, he just did a couple of the things a little bit incorrectly, and partly because Ron LeGrand trained me. I love him, he's fantastic, but I had to take everything he taught me and make it Canadian. So anyway, this investor just made a couple of errors. The house was too far away from where he lived, 3 hours away. He put too much money down and put $21,000 down, carried this thing vacant through the winter for 8 months. So the poor guy was basically hemorrhaging money, called me, and he's like, can you help me? And I was like, well, let me see what I can do. So we found Chris and her husband, I always forget his name, Mark. Chris and Mark, I marketed the house, and we found Chris and Mark. They put $15,000 down, and it cash flowed $600 a month.
Awesome. And then you did this one.
So much fun. This house was another tenant buyer who had just gotten a little bit of trouble, and because they had a sick daughter. Their daughter had a major lung problem all of a sudden, so they ended up having to be going back and forth to Vancouver a whole bunch. This house in Kamloops. So mom had quit her job, so that income had gone away, and they'd gotten a little bit behind on bills, but they had some money saved, and they wanted to buy a house. They wanted to be settled, primarily because their daughter was on the mend, and they didn't want to have to worry about moving again, because they had just done a whole bunch of stuff to this house in order to make it healthy for their daughter. So we were able to come in, help them out. They gave us $15,000 down. And this is one of the best cash flowing properties I've ever had. It cash flows over $750 a month, and they just couldn't be more happy. And it was just a wonderful win-win.
Well, the 750 is not unusual in rent own. We've had them more than that, less than that, but the rent to own is such a win-win-win strategy. I just love it. Now the question would be, could you do 3 deals like that in a month? And the answer is absolutely. I mean, the last thing we showed you there, or just before that, was doing 2 deals a year. Well, Barb used to do 3 a month. I mean, could you do 3 like that a month? Absolutely you could. Well, what would happen if you did? I mean, okay, for some of you say, well, could I start out doing 3 a month? No, but can you work into it? Yes. Well, if you start out and you just did 2 a year, would it be worth it? Absolutely. But what if you did you get the initial month in these 3 deals would be $55,000. That's a good month. But then your cash flow would also be $1,750. If you did that over 12 months, that'd be $21,000. So by working hard, really hard in 1 month, you just made $76,000. Now, you got some questions to ask by the time you get to that. The question you got to ask is, are you happy? I mean, hey, most people have to work 2 months to make $76,000. You just did it in 1 month. So you're happy. And the decision you have to make is, well, do I take the next 11 months off, or do I just rinse and repeat?
Yeah.
People, I think sometimes, Julie, they see these numbers and their eyes glaze over. They say, can it really be true? And the answer is, oh, man, if you only knew. You just got to see it in action. And by the way, on Sunday at the rent own course, the rent own done rate course, I'm actually going to get somebody a deal. I mean, yeah, there's a chance I'm going to get skunked. I've been skunked 5 times out of the hundreds of times I've taught the course. But we get people to bring real deals into the class. I make the phone calls, and I generally get a deal for somebody. Yeah. So, can it be done? We're going to show you how to do it. We're actually going to do it live. You're going to hear the person on the other end of the phone call live. So that's going to be pretty cool. All right. So happy couple. I forgot to mention. Remember that Salmon Arm house where that happy couple that really fell in love with Barb? Well, I forgot to tell you, we're going to make $32,000 on a 12-month rent own. And by the way, my 12-month rent owns, I just love them because we get the money fast. So not a bad little Not a bad little deal at all. So they're my absolute favorite things to do. So what are the result of committing to yourself? Well, here it goes. You get to golf Monday to Thursday with Julie and Jeff, Jason, Ross, Barb, whoever. You get to hang out with your friend, family and the other freedom fighters. I mean, I actually haven't had a traffic jam on my bridge to work yet. I mean, all these years I go over the enclosed bridge from our home to our studio, I haven't had a traffic jam yet. Amazing. And we get to send our friends postcards, like, you know, all those friends that thought you were crazy, just send them postcards that says, hey, wish you were here. We call them business trips. That's the only thing. And then we get to buy back our time. You got to have that talk to the boss. The talk to the boss goes, you know, boss, I don't think I can afford to work here anymore. I'm making more money in my part-time job than I'm working full-time for you. And then you get to have more money than month, because that 50 hours a week, it used to be 40, now it's most people it's 50. And it used to be 45 years, now most people it's 50 years. To retire on 20% of what you were making before just doesn't work. The average Canadian retires with like $3,600 in the bank account, not including the equity they have in their home. All right? You can visit Ross and Barb and Neil and Reagan on the shoe shop. Reagan and we all work together in the studio here. And you can come home and visit the Shark Shack. Or you can give to charity and not, you know, close the curtains when people come around. Or you could pursue your gifting, that thing you love to do. But what's the big question is what would you do if time and money were not the issue? That is my favorite question of all. What would you do if time and money were not the issue? I bet you for a lot of people, you know, some people love their work, but for a lot of people, they say, well, I would not go to work the next day if time and money were not the issue.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here's what a good day, a good week looks like. This is my business partner, Neil. We're planning on Monday. That's a planning session. We're in deep thought there right now, Julie. Actually, Alicia and Rochelle, you remember you and I were strategizing on that boardroom table there. Do you remember that?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, absolutely. It was pretty slick, and then not only there, we got to hit that Shark Shack up, so it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's that's a pretty good boardroom table, wouldn't you agree?
Yep.
Yeah, and those are wobbly pops we have there, by the way. And
Yes.
this is Tuesday. Now that we're finished planning, we have to do a little more consulting. And then you probably remember doing some consulting, right, Alicia and Rochelle?
Yes. Yeah.
And then on Wednesday, we got to start, after we've done our planning and our consulting, we got to start looking for investment properties, so we hit the beach. And you notice my beach attire, I still have my boots on and my buckle. And that's my secretary.
That's the first time I've heard you call her that.
And then we got to do our, once we found the property, we got to do our due diligence on it. And then this is the actual property that we found, and we're still doing due diligence. And you notice there's two sandals that are kind of just left there, because now we have to do barefoot due diligence, make sure that the concrete is smooth enough to walk on your bare feet. And then on Friday, we have to have an investor meeting to buy the property, so we call an investor meeting on the shores there. And then on the weekend, when everybody else is, you know, filling up the golf courses and stuff, I just go work with my coach down in Dallas, Texas. That's Tony Jerry, and he helped me get clarity and focus on the high-level activities and execute and strategize. That's always fun. You know, that guy, Tony there, you see, Tony on the right, you see on there, he's the coach to the presidents of Walmart and Firestone and Samsung and Kellogg's Foods, and then some farmer from Okotoks on the left there. And then on Monday, I go back and I start doing some networking, because, you know, your network is your net worth. So I got a network, and it's a tough way to make a living, but, you know, Julie, somebody's got to do it. Okay?
I get it.
So, yeah. My question is, your life is a masterpiece, but when will you start living the life you want? And, you know, fulfill your dreams and not your boss's dreams. most people say, I know I'm smarter than my boss, but he's in Hawaii watching that sunset. That's actually a Hawaii sunset, because that's called freedom. When you get to go where you want, when you want, you have the time and money to do what you want to do, that's freedom. All right, so I am so pumped about this training that we're going to be doing, Julie. April 7th, 8th, and 9th in the beautiful city of Kelowna. I am so pumped up about doing this. I get so excited when I get in front of a room of people and really see their eyes light up when they really find out, hey, I could actually make this thing work. I can change my family's life doing this. It's such a neat feeling, right?
Yeah, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Now, the cost or the investment for this training that we're doing on April 7th, 9th is $19.97. Is that right, Julie? It's $19.97.
That's right. It's $19.97. But we got some special bonuses for you. But I'll let you talk about that, and then I'll tell you about mine.
And then so it's $19.97, and that's for 2 people, right? Yes.
Sorry, I should have mentioned that. That's for 2 attendees. That's for 2 attendees. So it's a fantastic deal. Just amazing.
Actually, you pay for that on your first deal, and then about 5 times more than that anyway. I mean, geez.
Yeah.
The first deal, it's all done, and so meaning you had it, I know, Julie, when you were at the Lightle in Rochelle, you were saying, borrow it and then pay them 15% interest on it. You're still ahead, right?
Yeah, when I was in Saskatoon, I showed everybody how to raise the money to come out here. If that's the issue, it's either time or money. Well, we got enough time. But there's ways of coming up with the money. Absolutely, make it a business deal.
Well, both
right.
time.
You guys do a great job of that. And then, yeah, Julie, that was pretty cool how you taught our group there to leverage the ability to take this course by taking that money and doing it like a loan. Working with a private investor and so forth. Because again, it's the perfect pitch, because it's a lot easier to go and ask somebody for, like someone leaving from Saskatoon to go out there, like you had added, say $1,500 in costs plus the class. So you're $3,500 to go on. If you can't physically go out there and pitch on, trying to ask for $3,500, then at what level are you going to be able to go out there and try and help people get into houses? So it's the perfect platform to practice.
Oh, it's great. And by the way, if anybody wants that, and I can just, actually, I'm happy to send it out to everybody that attended tonight. I have just a recorded pitch on how to raise the money to come out here to Kelowna for April 7th, 8th, and 9th. And it's a great way to just create a win for you and a win for somebody else, because really what I'm proposing is actually pay like 30% to somebody for them to help you do this. And tell you what, it's going to motivate you, and I'm happy to do that. I'll just plan on emailing that out. It's a recording, and I'll give you the PowerPoint. I want to help as many people get out here as possible. And thanks, Alyssa.
You know what, Julie, we changed lives on this training. I mean, I teach a lot of different trainings, as you know, and this is top of the list on life changing. It changes people's lives because you don't need money. You don't need, you don't need investors. You don't need anybody. You actually just need to go and do it. And we give you the entire system from start to finish. There's no way that you can leave this training and not know how to make a lot of money and help a lot of people as you go along. And that's the whole win-win-win strategy. This thing actually it's just foolproof. It just works, period. All right? So it's not an experiment. We've been doing it for a lot of years. We know how to do it. We know how to train it. Canada, United States, we've trained both areas there. It is different from across the border, but it's overall the same system. And we just switch up, contracts and the way we can approach things for, that sort of thing. So anyway, I'm excited. I'm so excited that I'm going to do this, Julie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to, we have a part of my coaching is people can do some accountability coaching. Mm-hmm. And for that is that we offer everybody a half hour a month of phone coaching. We charge $125 for the half hour. For anybody that you let me know that they sign up tonight, Julia, I'm gonna kick that in so that they can phone me as much as they want. Any questions that they have, if they, on the rent to own, I have an open line. They can get in touch with me, get in touch with our office. We'll help them through it, and we'll just throw that in to anybody that was going to, change their life by enrolling in this life-changing event. It really is. I guarantee it. You're going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to bring the circus to town. We're going to have my whole team's going to be there. We're going to bring 4 people in. The whole team's going to be there. You're going to ask all the questions you want, and you're going to leave with a smile on your face because not only have you had a lot of fun for 3 days, but you're going to change your life forever. Yeah,
and wow, first of all, what a generous offer. That is, it's extremely generous. That's like a $1,200 value right there. It's really worth much more than that. But I know some people are already taking advantage of that program that you have, and it's just keeping them on track. They're serious. They are they're the kind of people that are going to be doing 3 deals a month. Chris and Kim, they're OREIG members. They're fantastic. They'll probably be at the 3-day event. Just to add insight, because they got a head start. These folks they've gone crazy. It's fantastic to watch. And then in addition to that, so thank you so much, Ross. Now, in addition to that, I have online real estate investment training. I have my Street Smart Educated Landlord course, which I put together along with, of course, the amazing Bill Vico, the Educated Landlord. We have about 8 hours of lecture, a bunch of handbooks, all the paperwork that you need for landlording, how to pre-screen tenants, how to handle deposits, how to market your rental, how to increase cash flow. It's a really amazing program. I'm going to throw that in for anybody that decides to take advantage of this offer tonight. And I'm also, this is something I wasn't really quite sure about whether I should do, but I'm also going to include my Street Smart Buyer program. It's all online training, all pre-recorded courses that I've recorded over the last 2 years. So it's about 50 hours of lecture, hundreds of pages of workbook, how to find deals, how to talk to motivated sellers, how to find motivated sellers, all the paperwork that you need, how to market in order to find deals, and just all these really great creative strategies on how to get into real estate, primarily without qualifying for financing and for low to no money down. So that's a program that I retail online for $7.99, or sorry, $5.50, $7.99 for the whole package. But you get the landlording course and my Street Smart Buyer program training included if you register for the 2-day course. And again, it's 2 tickets. And some of you might be on here and thinking, oh, 2 tickets, what am I going to do with 2 tickets? But I want to come. Well, if you need help getting matched up, just let me know and I can help, because we have people out here needing the same thing. I'm sure we're going to have a few folks in Calgary that need to be matched up maybe with Saskatoon. I'm happy to help out. Help me help you. Let me help you. So.
And we've actually had a pretty good response too, Julie. So I know that you don't have a ton of spots left, but
no, we don't. We've already got it actually a little over half full, and we know it's going to be full. But we don't want it to be too big either, because even though you've got a good, strong team of 4 people coming, we don't want to lose that one on the ratio, because then the information can get a little bit diluted and it's hard to get that one-on-one interaction. So.
You know what else is nice, Julie, is I'm not going anywhere. I've lived in this area my entire life, Canada. I know Canada. I travel. I coach all over Canada. And people that are coaching with me will tell you how easy it is to get hold of me. So if they have questions after they leave the training, we're there to support them, and they will get a deal done. There's absolutely no way that if they work the system, there's no way they're not going to get a deal done.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got our support, and we're throwing in that phone call so they can have that, and they can just call us anytime they want. They're going to change their life.
Yeah. It's a life-changing strategy. I said this last webinar we did. I believe rent to own makes the world a better place. And that might sound a little hokey, but I don't care. I do. I believe it. I just think it helps so many people.
And it's becoming mainstream with the banks.
Yep, that too. That too. All right. Anything else that we need to cover?
Well, I don't think so, Julie. I think we got it. I think we got it done, and I'm so excited to work with you guys and OREIG and with Alyssa and Rochelle and everybody else that probably maybe some people I'm coaching. I don't get a list to see who's on the call tonight, but
Yeah.
we're so excited to have all these people that we work with there, and thank you for giving us this platform to get the message out and to help so many people. You and Jeff and Jason are so awesome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I have the link in the description, but everybody's going to get a follow-up email so that you get the information so that you can, take advantage of this offer. We've got Angela. We have Corey Simso. Corey was out here, I think, fairly recently with you, Ross.
Yes.
Yeah, we got coaching. Yeah, one-on-one coaching. People come out here. People travel long distances to see Ross. As Alyssa and Rochelle talked about, we got Donna Lee from Saskatoon. Hi, Donna Lee. It's so good to see you. I've talked to Donna Lee about this, a lot about this. We've got a couple of OREIG members on here, which is so fun to see, Gary and Patrice. They, of course, I hope they decide to join us. And we got Sue, of course, Superstar Sue, and Lowell and Megan and John. Thank you everybody for showing up. Jesse, Jennifer from Saskatoon, so good to see everybody. Now, just real quick, if I can just ask, I have a question, but I wanted to ask Alyssa and Rochelle, can you just comment, is this a pretty good opportunity, pretty good deal, from your perspective? I know you traveled all the way out. You've done the training with Russ. It's life-changing, isn't it?
Absolutely. We weren't kidding when we said that we came out there and he tore our business apart. He literally did. I mean, we still have a big giant 3 foot by 2 foot piece of paper that we scribbled everything on, and then we have the photographs of restructuring and everything, and it was stuff that probably would have taken us, I'm guessing, what would you say, 5 to 7 years before we caught up to it, had we not spent those 3 days with Ross. Mm-hmm. And it jumped us forward like you can't believe. This whole concept of controlling everything and owning nothing is our whole life now. It's
all right.
Everything we do. And, but again, we wouldn't have realized how huge it is unless we'd spent those 3 days.
Because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's awesome. Well, thanks for that. Now, I'm just going to ask Bill real quick to comment on Bill and I. Again, we took Round the Grand a while ago, and we both got so much out of it. And like Bill and I both took action. We both went out and got the obnoxious I Buy Houses business cards. Mine was fluorescent pink. His was like rainbow. And we took massive action and got so much out of that training. But I'll tell you right now, I know I took it twice. It was $5,000 US each time, and I had to travel to Calgary once with a 6-month-old. And Bill, I don't know if you took it twice, but can you just comment on the value of knowing this this strategy?
It's just a matter of having another tool in your toolkit, like Ross said. If you know how to structure some of these deals, it can really change things. And the process for rent to own has gotten so much tougher than it used to be, back to the single page or multiple page starting originally. And if you've got it all structured and you make it all work, it just makes your whole life easier, especially going forward. So it's something to add. If you're a serious investor, or even if you're serious at just changing your life, it could be a great opportunity for somebody.
Absolutely. So thank you, everybody. The link is right there. Thank you so much, Bill, for being here. Alyssa, all the people that have joined us. So nice to meet all of you and see all of your faces. Thanks to everybody that is listening to the recording. And just go on over to the link. We will see you April 7th, 8th, and 9th in Kelowna. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Thanks, Ross.
Thank you, Bill. Can't wait to meet you.